Good morning to everyone. I try to speak in English. Well, these are the results of the most recent wave of Latinobarometro. The last report was presented in Buenos Aires 2 weeks ago. The results are very recent. First of all, in this chart, we see that in the last 5 years, support to democracy in the region has fallen from 61% from 61% in 2010 to 54% in 2060. But support for authoritarian regime has not rise. Rather, it has stayed in around 50%. Who have risen are the indifferent with the regime from 60 to 23%. We see the yellow line since 2010 has risen 7 points in 6 years. This chart shows the support to democracy and the GDP. Support to democracy are not correlated with GDP, but affected other variables. Support to democracy are not satisfaction with democracy, are different variables. But support to democracy are affected by variables like rise on corruption, quality of public service, quality of governance, quality of governance in general, economic performance. And this is important because persistently bad economic performance also can affect the support to democracy. If during many years the economic is bad, the GDP growth slowly, the support to democracy is affected. The next chart shows the results by country, and we see an interest case in Venezuela with 77% of support to democracy. Venezuela has the highest support to democracy in the region. The case of Venezuela raises questions about the content of democracy, like a concept. With the 77% of support to democracy, almost everyone are Democrats. But there is no agree on what that democracy is. On the one hand, we have a pure socialist type of democracy, or a popular democracy, chavismo, and in the other hand, a traditional liberal democracy. But everyone wants to be Democrats. In the Central American countries, in the other hand, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, except Costa Rica, and included in this group Brazil, have the lowest support to democracy in the region. Brazil has only 32%, and in the last year has fallen dramatically. We can see in this chart how in the last year support to democracy in Brazil in 2050 was 54%, and in the last year was 32. Is the most dramatically fall of support to democracy that we see in the Latinobarometro, and is in the one of the most lowest point in the series time. The case of Chile also is interesting because I'm Chilean and I know in this case during 20 years the support to democracy in Chile was relatively high, but in the last year was a lot of corruption scandals. Scandals even involve the president family, specifically son of President Bachelet, and also problems about political financial issues. So in 2050, support to democracy was 65%, and 1 year after was 54%, 11 point of fall. And Uruguay is the last case we see in this presentation. Uruguay has a long tradition of democracy in Latin America. Not only electoral tradition, but also participation democracy, participative democracy. Uruguay has issues about participation on its constitution. But in the last year, the support to democracy in Uruguay is in the lowest point also. This raises a question about if democracy in Latin America is in decline or not, but it's not progress. This question, other question we applied in Latinobarometro shows about attitudes to authoritarian social and political attitudes. And this shows that the question is, don't care, not democratic government, if this government solves problems. Only 47% of Latin America is agree with this. I'm not care if non-democratic government, if this government solves problem. And again, Central American countries is in the highest rate of this indicator. 62 in Honduras, 62 in Salvador, 61 in Nicaragua, 60 in Guatemala, etc. Chile is the lowest with 29%. This question reflects an instrumental vision of democracy. This quote of President Alfonsín, with democracy we cure, with democracy we eat, with democracy we educate. Well, democracy solves problems. In Latin America, 61% is agree or is strong agree with this statement. Democracy solves problems. But Chile is the lowest with 47%, and Venezuela, again, interest case, is the highest with 72%. This is important because in Venezuela, with high polarization, with a lot of problems, political, socially, economically, all persons want to solve these problems through democracy. And this is an important point in this moment. If the president can control the media, only 13% in Latin America is agreeing with this. Again, with Chile in the lowest, with the lowest rate with 17, and Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua with the highest. Latin Americans want free press. They don't want that the president or the government control the media. And this is important for democracy. This question is very interesting and is very stable during the years. If we need firm hand, it's not bad. And 61%, the red line, say that firm hand of government not bad. This is contradiction with with previous question. We want freedom, but we want a firm hand. And in this chart by country, Brazil is the lowest with only 42%, and Dominican Republic is the highest with 82%. And finally, social order and individual freedom. Latin American citizens want order society, but limit freedoms. 52% want this. But this is important because is more than half of citizens, but have fallen 8 points since 2006. Latin America progress in democracy in this view. And society where all rights and freedoms are respected, even if there is some disorder, as risen from 36 to 44%. This is about obey the laws, and the red line shows that the Latin Americans obey the law in 65%. And this is the last one, about the freedom to speak and criticize in the country, in line with the freedom of press. 51% of Latin America is agree or is strong agree with the statement that there is freedom to speak and criticize in the country, in their own country. With Ecuador with the lowest rate, only a third of citizens. Well, in conclusion, we can say that democracy in Latin America live together with freedom and order. Latin America apparently not want only liberal democracy. They want also a order society, because in Latin America not there is only freedom. There is crime, there is violence, there is drug traffic, and from this point of view, a lot of freedom means a rise on these indicators for the Latin America. Rise on crime, rise on violence, and Latin America apparently don't want this. They want democracy, but what democracy? What content of democracy? This is an interesting question about the institutions and the state and the capacity of the institutions to provide and strengthen the democracy in the region. Thanks a lot to everyone.